Well, guys, I haven't made a Colts video in a couple of weeks, but I've been following the team's defensive coordinator search, and they finally came to a decision. Lou Anarumo is going to be brought in from the Cincinnati Bengals. He was fired, of course, 2 weeks ago, and now he's joining the Colts. I know a lot of casual fans are going to look at this and say, hey, look, the Bengals gave up a ton of points. They cost them from making the playoffs. If he was fired from the Bengals, why would the Colts bring him in here? That would be the most logical take if you don't really follow football. But if, of course, you do follow football, you would know that, well, the Bengals let DJ Reader walk. They let Jesse Bates walk. They have not drafted well on the defensive side of the ball. Not to mention, Joe Burrow is making a lot of money, which means you're not going to be able to surround the defense with that much talent if you're paying a quarterback that way, right? So for the Colts, they realized that, hey, look, we've got a much better defense than the Bengals do. Now, the Colts don't have a better defense than the Bengals did when they were going to the Super Bowl, right? That was an elite defense. But I'm looking at Cincinnati, and the final 3 games of the season, they only gave up 15.6 points per game. So with the Colts having a more talented defense, especially Anarumo, I would say his signature is in the secondary because, of course, he used to coach defensive backs. So Juju Brents, Nick Cross, Jalen Jones, Kenny Moore the second. We'll see if Julian Blackmon's back. There's a lot of young, and Daniel Scott too, who of course was out for the season with that injury. These guys, they're gonna have the chance to completely just take their games to the next level. And up front, Grover Stewart, DeForest Buckner, Kwity Paye. I'm looking at, of course, you certainly got to give a lot of credit to the rookie Latu Latu, who is one of the best edges in the league, of course, at the position for rookies. Ebukam will be back, Roquan Davis up front. So there's a lot of talent on this team, which is why I don't necessarily hate the Colts for not firing Chris Ballard in the sense that this team should have made the playoffs. Like, there's literally no reason they shouldn't have, which is why I'm blaming the coaching staff because the draft, A.D. Mitchell, I didn't think was amazing, but still, there was enough talent on this team to win 10 games, especially with how easy the schedule was. So it's time to get going, and I really do like, honestly, the addition of Lou Anarumo. If we're up to me personally, I probably would have went with Dennis Allen, but I mean, it just didn't happen that way, so it's okay. But I do like this move, and it's just very, very easy to look at Cincinnati and say that, oh, well, they gave up the 25th amount of points allowed and yards. The Colts, they also, of course, gave up 25.1 points, and they gave they gave up 25.1 points and the fourth most yards per game with 361.2. And Gus Bradley, I do think, deserves a lot, literally pretty much all of the blame in that, just because this is a talented defense that just didn't play well at all. And the worst game of the years were the Jags game back in, what was it, week 5, where we gave up 37. And then the New York Giants game in week 17, where the defense gave up 45. Like, how do you score 33 in MetLife against the Giants in Jersey and lose that game? So just the defense was a huge issue all season, but it wasn't because of a lack of talent like the Bengals had. It was because of a lack of coaching. I think Gus Bradley's scheme is just too stale, and he had to go, man. He should have gone a while ago, but he finally did get let go of. And I understand Chris Ballard has not won a division in the last 8 years since he's been here. Like, I get that. I would have personally fired Ballard if I was Jim Irsay. I'm not Jim Irsay, so he didn't, and now I'm just kind of accepting it. So now Ballard, I think he's put the Colts in a good situation to compete. They're just not getting it done. They're not, right? I'm looking at Frank Reich. The Colts, of course, all they had to do was just win one of their last 2 games back in 2021. They don't do that. They did make the playoffs with Rivers, but then this Texans game, they lost that, of course. They were literally a yard away, 15 yards away from winning that game. And then this past season, they couldn't beat the Jags. They couldn't beat the Giants. And then, of course, they lost to the Texans in week 8. Just simply the fact that Richardson threw that pick and it led to a touchdown with like 20 seconds left in the first half. Even the Texans game in week 1. The defense gave up like 300 rushing yards. So it's how many rushing yards did we give up? I'm looking right now. Okay, 213. I was exaggerating, but we still gave up 213 yards rushing. So the defense completely sold the season. The offense wasn't perfect by any means. I mean, AR has a lot of work to do. But the good thing about Anthony Richardson is that he's working with Josh Allen's former, I don't know what his exact title would be, but I'm just going to call him mechanic guy. And Allen credited that his mechanics, the reason why they improved so much was because of him. Like literally, he singled him out specifically. So Richardson's working with him. This is a huge season for Richardson because he's going into year 3. That's when Josh Allen turned it around and started to look like a star. Also, the Colts, if they don't get a good year out of Anthony Richardson, they're not even going to have a chance. Like, they might have a chance to make the playoffs, but they're not going to have a chance to win the division or to win the AFC or a Super Bowl. Because you look at other quarterbacks, Jaden Daniels, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, I know had a down season for his standards, but just these good quarterbacks, they're putting together outstanding seasons. They're playing complementary football. Their defense is getting stops when it needs to. Like the Colts just cannot afford what Richardson gave them, which of course was 8 touchdowns throwing, 12 picks, a 47.4 QBR, which is 27th. The rushing was great for Richardson, but I mean, dude, his mechanics need a lot of work. His accuracy, it's just time to get going. This is year 3, right? This isn't his rookie season. This is year 3. His rookie season basically was cut short due to injuries. The second season was ups and downs. He got benched, of course, came back and played well. But, man, I mean, Richardson, this is a huge season for him in the Colts because I just did not expect them to be in this situation, year 3 of Richardson, where it's just basically boom or bust. Like, Richardson can remain the starter or they're going to let him go. And if Richardson has another bad season, I think they'll end up trading him probably for, like, 3 draft picks. I mean, obviously not a first round pick, but maybe they get like, I don't even know, bro. Like, I couldn't even, it would be low, bro. It'd be like a 3rd round pick, maybe like a 5th round pick and like a 7th or something. Like, it's not going to be much, but that's kind of where we're at right now is it's literally boom or bust for the Colts and Anthony Richardson because when your team's losing, somebody has to take the blame. And Richardson didn't take the blame. To me, at least. I mean, it was the defense. Gus Bradley was fired. Chris Ballard wasn't fired. Shane Steichen wasn't fired. Richardson wasn't put on the trade block or anything, even though teams at the deadline inquired about him. So the defense is to blame. Okay, that's cool. So the defense, it needs to be very, very good next season. And then I'm looking at the offense has to take a step. And Ballard's going to have a killer free agency and a killer draft because A.D. Mitchell did not have a good season. Certainly, the Colts did not take Jared Verse, who ended up being the best defensive player in this draft. Like, it's still early, but, I mean, without question, he was the best. Like, it's not even debatable. The Colts did try to trade up for Brock Bowers, so I'll give Ballard that. I personally wanted to do that, but it just didn't happen. And then the rest of our rookies were, I would say, okay. Like, they were solid, man, nothing special. So, but yeah, that's pretty much the video. Let me know your guys' thoughts. It's been a couple of weeks since I made a Colts video. I'm going to try to be more consistent, but I'm excited for free agency. I'm excited for the draft. It's just, man, I just cannot believe that the Colts completely just fell apart at the end of the year. I mean, I guess I should believe it because I've seen it happen many times, but it just seemed like things were different, and sadly they weren't. But man, the Colts, I mean, this is it. They've got to show up next season, man. If they don't show up, I want Steichen gone, Richardson gone, Ballard. I literally just want a clean house and just go into a rebuild. Like it's literally that bad, bro. Hopefully it doesn't happen though. I'd love to see the Colts go 10-7, make the playoffs. Yeah, I honestly I want to win the division, bro. But I just making the playoffs. You got to start somewhere.